you want, you can throw the dancing gorilla over now. Make it a little more funnier. I got some itchy back. I got a notie that you came live.
Yes, but didn't.
Two people are watching.
Play.
Nope, it's playing now. I think the computer might have just needed to be restarted, or I don't know, because we didn't change any settings. We just restarted it.
Okay, welcome back to Cannabis Canada with Jason Wilcox. It is, oh, what is it now? It is November 1st. Holy shit. All right. Wow, that whole month just blew by. I can't believe that with all the hype and all the tension and all the what ifs and oh my gods about legalization, here we are. I still can't quite hear myself, so I'm gonna have to check on my ears. Should work for me anyway. Showing as a clear cut.
Can you open the output settings for a sec?
How come I can't get my on my own show going?
I know, I couldn't find it either. That's why I said open the output settings.
Output settings. Okay, my friends on YouTube, just bear with me for a second.
It's Nicole Fox pages. You're running, but I don't see you. Maybe it's a delay?
I've never had a delay on Facebook before. Usually they're the fastest. I can see YouTube is just fine. We have only one person actually in the chat. 7 people watching. Good afternoon, everybody. We will be getting into the show today, and today is all about the plants. We got the plant cam, we got the tent cam, we got the endocannabinoid discussion about modulating the endocannabinoid system and what that means. And are you a medical patient or are you not a medical patient is all what we're going to be talking about today. However, I don't know how well I'm coming through audio-wise.
Open Facebook on your computer and see.
Should be coming through something.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, no, it's going to, it's been set up to only go to one place.
Okay.
I'm going to have to kill this to my friends on Facebook.
We can fix this live. Just send over a commercial.
I'll be back in, I'll be back in exactly, here's a 5-minute short commercial. I was going to save this for a break. It's a Throwback Thursday for you here for friends on YouTube. It's all about growing anyway. That's where we birthed from. All right, welcome back to Cannabis Canada with Jason Wilcox. We're here, we're getting ready to go on the Extract Express with the Coalition. The Cannabis Rights Coalition is here hosting this. We've got the Beard Brothers in the house, came all the way in from BC, representing the Beard Brothers Society as listed here, and numerous other sponsors and numerous volunteers putting all this together. Brad, tell us about it, brother. What do you think of the East Coast here in the GTA?
It's just a warm welcome today. You know, we're proud to support such a great event. It's Extract Express. Going to be dabbing people out with some amazing Beard Bros extracts, and you know, we're just here here to have a good old time.
Yeah, man, it's such a good day to be here. We have all these kind of family here coming together, doing what we believe in is right, and that's standing up for what we believe in is medicine.
With everybody here, with great volunteers, patients, patient providers, it's only going to be an excellent trip, just like the last ones.
Once again, let's go have a good time, get dabbed out, let's do this shit.
Beer bros in the house.
What's up, Extract Express? We're heading down to the Cannabis Center right now. Great, awesome new dispensary that's opening up. We have some forms for you to fill out if you'd like to become a new member there and become one of the first members at the new Cannabis Center.
All right, we just left Cannabis and we're having a great time here on the Extract Express. We're collectively concentrating right now on what the hell to do next because it's decided between a dab, a cookie, or a sandwich, or just to continue talking and having a good time. Now in St. Catharines, we're here with Michael Thomas, Michael Puff Dog Thomas, for those who know him locally, community leader, cannabis activist, political activist, really on the front lines and setting an example for what true activism is.
It's a real privilege and honor to have you people here. You know, coming together as a community is a great endeavor, and I believe it's something that needs to be done on a regular and consistent basis. We established Puff Dogs here as a safe haven for both the medical and the 420 friendly community. The city's been gracious enough to give us a warm welcome.
The Extract Express, I think it's been a great idea. These guys have traveled. Anything on the road involving cannabis and vapor lounges, and it's nice because we can do it here in Ontario where people don't quite understand. Like, man, we're like an hour and a half outside of Toronto, and we're in a city of 130,000 people, and they got a vapor lounge here. And people don't understand. They're outside our city. They're way out there, and that's what cannabis culture is about, and that's why we have internet shows and YouTube videos and stuff to encourage people in smaller communities to overthrow their government. It's happening here in Ontario.
We're now back here at Club Stigma, and I'm sitting here with Kyle Morrison, the owner of Club Stigma. This has been an amazing trip to go around with the Beard Brothers and the Cannabis Growers of Canada, and of course Mountain Crew Cannabis of Canada.
I'm like totally happy with everything that's happened right in the heart of Brantford. It's perfect.
Okay, well, we're here at the Rock Pile in Etobicoke, Toronto, which is now where the event is. We came here for the Wednesday event. Yesterday was a bus trip to go around and promote all the different stuff for the Cannabis Rights Coalition. Tonight it's about having fun with the patients and, again, sharing the awareness and raising some funds where possible. So we're going to go in and have a good time tonight. And thanks to the owners here at the Rock Pile, and thanks to all of our sponsors and endorsers of this event and supporters out there who continue to support cannabis rights for the patients and for the people here in the country of Canada.
Alright, welcome back to Cannabis in Canada with Jason Wilcox. And yes, that's my computer you're picking up in the background. Oh, you gotta like some of that music, man. That's free off YouTube too. But anyway, I figured I'd let that play out in... Oh, and I gotta kill this so because I'm gonna hear feedback. Well, hopefully. hopefully it's once I mute this. Hopefully there. Now you guys can't hear nothing, and I am good. Okay. So what I wanted to talk about today was about the endocannabinoid system. Are you a medical user or are you not? And I asked that question for anybody that wants to say that they're not or that they're a non-medical user. And I'm talking in the biological and scientific sense. I'm not talking about in any other way. We're also going to talk about 4 plants. I'm going to switch over to the tent cam here. How do I do it again? Oh, this was tricky. Shoot. There used to be a way I could just switch over to that other cam. I had to capture it. That's the other one. No. Where is it? It's number 6. Hey, Youngblood. How do I capture this? Oh, shit, store. All right, well, we'll skip that, but we will have the camera coming up. Number 6. I don't know how to get it. I'm going to let her do it. I'm way too ripped from that dab. I'm not sure who these guys are, but again, they have a bunch of different packaging. I'm assuming it's all the same people, just using different packaging. But this one is called Lucky Extracts, but it all comes in the same paper and is pretty much the same consistency. So hats off to them, and it's all CO2 extraction, which I find very interesting. So, and it's good to be back live too, and I apologize for the early delay. What was going on? For some reason, our feed to another platform wasn't working, and we had to quickly fix that on the fly. I thought we were going to have to kill the show, but luckily that didn't come about. So I should get my own logo put back. There we go. I get my own logo back on there. And yeah, and we're also going to, again, once I get this this cam here, because then we'll be able to zoom in and out. The ladies are young. They're from Seed. Shout out to Resin Seeds, who sent us all the way from Spain these genetics, and they're very hardy. And there's also the ones that I've recently bred for Vicky, which were CBD strains, and one of them turned out to be an auto, and I'm not sure the other one's being tested right now. So I don't know if it's going to auto or if it's going to, you know, when you pollinate a bunch of plants, you never know how the genotypes are going to react. You know, you just want to make sure they're stable before you start breeding, because you really don't. The more unstabilized genetics we get out there, the more hermaphrodites, the more problems we have, and the more garbage that, quite frankly, doesn't help anybody, versus the high cannabinoid flowers that produce high resin content. For within resin is nothing more than the trichome broken down.
I got a question for you. Jason Steele, that's a great question. Do you notice much difference between CO2 extraction and butane extraction concentrates? That's a great question.
It's actually a really, it's actually a really great difference. It's a really great question. The one thing I notice is texture. Yes. Now, if this was butane extraction, my concern, actually I should open this up and show you one of these ones. My concern, if it was a butane extraction and it was bendable like this, one, that tells me that they likely didn't purge their butane. Some guys don't even know what that means because they're not deep enough into the industry to even know how to purge their butane and get rid of additional oils and unwanted residues that shouldn't be in there. And I'm having trouble ripping this open, so I'm just going to do the caveman thing. No, it works. Okay. So again, this packaging a little bit different. So I shouldn't actually. I'm going to take that back. This is packaged way different. This is different paper altogether. So yeah, I'm going to take back that. But it's all CO2 still. So that doesn't change. Apparently none of it's butane. So again, for me, I haven't really thought about the notice, other than it does. I haven't hit anything that leaves me with that. But you guys know that bad tame taste when things aren't done right. Now here's what I mean about texture. The fact that I can take this and bend it and make it do that, that is not cool. That in itself it presents a problem for us. So for me, if it was butane, now because it's CO2, I'm assuming that all CO2 structures come out like this at the end, but it's much more pure. It's expensive to make. A lot of people haven't done it. I'm not sure. This is just what I'm told. Now again, unless I'm being lied to, I don't know. But this is what I'm being told. And based on what I know about residuals, if this was BHO, then I would be concerned about why it's so flimsy. And that tells me that likely it's because they did purge the butane, as well as they didn't do the dewaxing that was necessary to finish the shatter in the proper and do it justice. And if you're not going to do it justice, then don't get in the game. If you're not shooting for a game, why don't you don't get in the game? It's so easy. If it's such an injustice, don't get in the game. How's my microphone? There it is. Okay. I'm figuring this shit out. Anyway, how the hell y'all doing today? Let's get some fucking dabbing going on. And this dab stuff I'm dabbing on here from Lucky Extracts is Blue Dream. And they say it's an indica. This is something that I would challenge anybody to try to prove to me. As a connoisseur, I would love to see how you're going to prove 20% indica versus 80% sativa. But it gives you a general idea that that's what the lineage suggests. And that's what I use when I'm growing. So I suggest, well, this is an indica. I use indica dominant plants or sativa dominant plants based on their lineage. Because there's so many hybrids that you simply can't say that this is a true indica, pure indica. Really, really hard to do that without breeding back. So again, we're talking about cannabis and we're talking about those different things. The reason I'm bringing this up and I'm wanting to talk about this and get into this a little more today was because of the Canadian Medical Association's position paper on the ACMPR. Their position paper, that's Vicky Dabbs just dabbing her head off in the background. Position paper. Just bear with me for a second here. Okay, this would be us. Let me just get everything turned on here. Now, we went over this a little bit yesterday. I want to keep going over it. It's very important because of the fact that without it, like, quite frankly, this stuff we have to address. Our attorneys, some of them, as you know, Mr. Conroy and others, I hope you've seen the posts I've put out on my public wall. Please have a look at these posts because they're from the lawyers themselves, and they're the lawyers asking for specific information for clearly a much bigger case to once again knock the government down for trying to monopolize this country versus the right thing to do, which is to treat cannabis like a plant. That's what it is. And until we get that done, then our job isn't done. And thank God we got lawyers willing to fight for us and keep it going. What am I trying to grab here? Oh, desktop. Damn it, won't work. Whatever desktop presenter doesn't work.
You gotta open the application.
I did. Here, I'm going to put on the Cannabis Rights Coalition documentary commercial. trailer. I'll just be a couple seconds and we'll see you guys back. If I let it run through a couple times, remember it's only a 1 minute long trailer, just to let you know what's coming up for the Coalition documentary once it's all put together. Apologize for the glitches, but again, it's all about the freedom at this point and sharing of information. We'll see you back in about hopefully 60 seconds. Okay, she is damn good. My daughter is good. She popped this shit back on, and I was right on the 1 minute mark. It took me longer because I had to fix my sandal to be able to get back over into the spot. There you go, Coalition documentary. Some of the people that have been filmed so far, like Mr. Conroy and Mr. Tusa. We have others still to film as we close out the production aspect of really doing the documentary, putting a documentary together when you've never done it before. You know, I never expected to be putting together a documentary, producing one and editing one, having that overall control of content and trying to tell a story of what took place over 4 years here in Canada, with thousands of y'all out there supporting us. You can live? Bless you.
Oh, man.
Bless you.
That's a real. Oh.
Take another one.
Good terpenes. Honestly, that's a good dab. You know, when like hits you right in the sinuses, you're like, whoo.
Damn it, I let this cool down too much. You got me talking, see? Screws us all up. Anyway, we do have a couple things fixed here. I'm going to actually... Whatever, how'd you make this small box, too? And that's why the reason the desktop presenter is going to help, because then we can pull up the regulations, we can pull up the endocannabinoid system, for instance, by definition, and then we can ask ourselves once again the fundamental question that matters is: are we as free and liberal people and civilians in Canada not allowed to use use what we have? Thank you. Would we not be able to use what we have to be able to, honestly, to be able to fight back? The new regulations is what's up above my shoulder here. I was gonna get rid of this one. Get rid of this here. So these are understanding the new access to cannabis for medical purposes regulations. Again, these are different things. The ACMPR has been replaced, you know, with marijuana for medical purposes regulations. Does that sound MMPR? Doesn't that sound familiar? So the same one that was put out was done, but there's a lot of different papers here. The ones that I've been looking for and the ones I wanted to pull up. Again, they talk more, I think it's important to talk about the endocannabinoid system. I think we don't talk enough about that. For those that care, modulating the endocannabinoid system, I would even take it a step further. Not just, hey, I know I have an endocannabinoid system and I know cannabis will make me, you know, it'll work through my system. By virtue of using cannabis, you then by virtue of using cannabis, you're actually using it medically. So that's the part I'm trying to spit out here. It's hard because I say this on show after show after show, and we want to get the right information out to the right people. And it's not always easy. It's hard because right now I see a community that's fractured. And in our community that's been fractured has been fractured because a lot of people don't know what's going on, and a lot of people got left out, including myself and others that got left out of, even though we were part of the foundation of the cannabis culture in this country for many years, holding it down when it was in the underground. Now they want to turn us into, monopolized. You're just another digit. You're just another number. Now, I happen to be worth more than most people because of my illness, but hey, that's just more good karma, I guess, in a fucked up way. All right, I got to get onto YouTube here and see what's being said there as well. Vicky Dabs, anything else that I'm missing here? It is a Throwback Thursday, and I had a video. I don't know. I thought that video actually that I pulled over was supposed to be. That wasn't obviously the video, so I'm gonna have to grab something else. I'll find something here. Then it's fun. It's fun when you can go back. Actually, all my life's on YouTube. It's kind of trippy because I can actually go back and to when I had hair in my beard and my hair. It's funny, but I was still doing exactly what I'm doing now, and educating and medicating and getting people out to push back against bad policies that get set by the federal government. It's not something that we should allow. And if anybody wants to come on the show for a straight discussion, or if you have any comments or questions, it's best to just throw them in there, and it makes it a lot easier to understand or discuss anything. If you have a debate in the chat, then don't argue with one another. Throw the question at me, and let's see where that goes. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. I'm just saying this is my show, and I'd love to see everybody engaging, as best we can in a positive manner, in a positive light. It's all about teaching each other about healing. Where is my camera lady? Like, really? Hang on a second here.
I'll text her.
All right. So the other thing too is quality of life. It's like going on at this time of the day. I knew that we would get very few people watching, but I know that the people that are watching are likely living lives like many of the people I like to work with, including myself, that get stuck in these holes where you're stuck inside all day and you don't really have anywhere to go to get solid information, and you're trying to figure things out, especially when it comes to growing in your house. I understand that. I understand that more than anybody. Believe me, I understood it when it was illegal. I understand it now. It's even worse now that it's legal. But you do have rights. Debbie, the problem with the grandfather, you need to understand, dear, is that the federal government of Canada has not lifted the federal injunction for a reason. They haven't went back to Justice Phelan and said, hey, the ACMPR is a fix. Now, why didn't they do that? We've always been asking that on this show. Why haven't they lifted the injunction? Now you see why. Because they can put everybody else in and say that reasonable access is obtained because these 90 companies, all their stores, all their subsidiaries, all their microbreweries will meet the definition of reasonable access. Please stop. That is how they will obtain reasonable access. And again,
Yes.
What's up?
Someone letting me share with like 10 different people. I was asking branches have the same problem. Sorry.
All right. Anyway, we had a good throwback there that is important, and again, whether I keep bouncing this stuff back, the more I want to talk about the educational stuff around cannabis, so that people go home and bring it to the talking table with your family, with your friends, people that don't usually talk about cannabis. Teach them that it is a medicine overall in its truest form, holistically. If you use cannabis in any context, it's going to be medically beneficial for your body based on modulating the endocannabinoid system, the CB1 and CB2 receptor cells in your body, and the information that we know about it based on anecdotal science that our friends and the policymakers in the federal government seem to want to believe these peer-reviewed journals don't exist. That's a big part of it. I think that again, I'm going to go to this Throwback Thursday, so I'm going to try and find this. But if there are any questions in the chat, that it's important also to note the lawyers are telling us, and it's weird, it doesn't apply to the plants, but the lawyers are telling us to go ahead and grow, like, the additional 4 plants technically are yours as a legal citizen, as a patient. But it's kind of silly. The public carry amount, for instance, instead of 150 would be 180. That's coming from John Conroy himself to us patients. And that's real activism, that's real advocacy. Most importantly, Mr. Conroy has taken in impact statements. So if you have filed a license and Health Canada has delayed it, if Health Canada has messed with you in any way, if they phoned your doctor, if they've done anything to be intrusive on your doctor-patient relationship, then you need to contact Mr. Conroy and let him know with the adequate information. And by doing so, you could potentially help us launch another constitutional challenge to once again overturn more failed and flawed policies of the federal government in Canada. And nobody can say it can't be done or it won't be done. It's just, let's hope that somebody does it. I'll tell you that much. So I'm going to also put on here Mr. Tusa. I find it funny because he talks about how he doesn't fart under, or he probably hasn't had under 5 nanograms. Sorry, he doesn't say fart. That's something I said in a different video. But he says he hasn't had under 5 nanograms in his blood. If you watch this carefully in the video, and it's kind of comical because he's actually being truthful. Like, I've watched him, I've seen him be able to take on some of the biggest cases. Like, he can actually do the dictation of the what's going on in the court. He can do that while thinking of what his cross-examination is going to be. I mean, it's just an amazing thing to see when you see Kurt in action, and there's a lot to be said about that. And here he's giving some free information. We were filming for the Coalition documentary. It's important that get out there. And once again, it's not really for our countries, it's for other countries. So that's why, again, we're not really pushing it here. But here's Mr. Tusa. It's about a 5-minute break, so if you guys need to stretch, go take a leak, grab your bong rigs. Please share this around. Remember to hit that like button, please. Hit the like button, go ding. It's always a good thing to help out. Sharing is caring. Here's Mr. Tusa explaining the potential driving law constitutional battle that I think we've been predicting here on Cannabis in Canada since the day the law passed. Thanks.
There's two streams of thought there, right? There's C-45, which is the Cannabis Act, and C-46, which deals with impaired driving, and not just cannabis, but other forms of impaired driving. Here's my view. I don't think I've been under 2 nanograms a milliliter of THC metabolite in my blood since I was 15 years old, right? At no point. And you know, I say that because it's funny, but I say that because it's also true. And I think you could test somebody, you know, when they wake up first thing in the morning, that is a medical cannabis consumer, and I'm a medical cannabis consumer, that is always going to be over that threshold. And so what you do is you effectively criminalize an entire class of people based on their choice of medicine that you don't do with other medicines. You know, we're not going to people and saying, well, you've got, you know, 2 nanograms per milliliter of codeine metabolite in your system from the pill you took to help you sleep last night. But we could make up an imaginary number that has nothing to do with impairment and take people off the road as a result of that. And I think, you know, when you're talking about a very privacy intrusive thing, going into people's blood in a forcible way to seize their blood in order to test it, and the evidence that's yielded from that is not relevant to the issue to be decided, which is, was that person impaired? Because there's nothing, no science linking these arbitrary numbers to any level of impairment. Very much unlike alcohol, where there's a great deal of science that we can rely on. I think you've gone too far. And I think the courts are going to find that. I think the courts are going to find that the government's gone too far on C46, and that those per se limits, at least, will be found to be unconstitutional. And there's, you know, this will warm your heart, there's momentum building to do a test case. There's been at least one prominent figure from the LP world, Chuck Raffici, who's publicly said he'll put the first $25,000 into a test case. I've talked to a couple of the impaired lawyers out there that do drug and alcohol impaired driving for a living. They're interested in taking this on. So, you know, we could be building a team to challenge that as well. You know, with C45, the Cannabis Act, philosophically, I think that the government took the wrong approach by creating a criminal enforcement scheme with exemptions to create legal activity. You know, I think that that's kind of backwards. I think it should have been a legal scheme with some exemptions, limited exemptions for certain types of criminal activity. But I understand why they did it. I mean, from a jurisdictional standpoint, the government, federal government, has criminal law power jurisdiction. They don't necessarily have the jurisdiction to regulate cannabis if it's not within a public safety or health context. And so they maybe didn't have a choice in their approach. I do appreciate that the Cannabis Act does a few things with the penalty structure that are positive. Eliminates mandatory minimum sentencing. People forget today, despite some court decisions finding unconstitutionality, but you can still have a mandatory minimum sentence for 6 marijuana plants in this country. You know, the fact that you'll be able to grow 4 legally is a huge step forward per household. The fact that you'll be able to possess 30 grams of cannabis in public is a huge step forward. The fact that you'll be able to store an unlimited amount of cannabis in private is a massive step forward. All of those things make it harder for police officers to get warrants. All of those things make it harder for enforcement. And much of it signals just sort of a different direction that I think will permeate through policing culture, which we've already seen in British Columbia over the last few years. Massive declines in enforcement. I think that's a trend that we're going to stay on. They've also lowered the maximum sentence for certain of the more serious trafficking offenses in cannabis. Currently, trafficking more than 3 kilos of cannabis still has a maximum of life in prison. Under C45, it's 14 years. Is that too much? Of course that's too much. That's ridiculous. Nobody gets the maximum. I mean, I tell people you could sail a tanker truck of hash into Vancouver Harbor and you're not going to get life in prison, even though that's the maximum penalty, right? That doesn't happen. But it does have ripple effects. The maximum penalty of 14 years disqualifies accused persons from certain outcomes. The flip side of that, though, is that the federal government has made it a Crown option to proceed by summary conviction in every Cannabis Act offense. And so the Crown, either on its own initiative at the beginning of a prosecution or through deal making as you defend these cases,
Welcome back to Cannabis Canada with Jason Wilcox, and move over here a little more to the center. Get my second flipper going here. On my coffee, my dabs, dab stick. That was trippy. All right, and Mr. Tusaw, great advice, and again, Mr. Chuck Rafishi, who one of my old arch nemesis during the days of the trials with Allard and R.V. Smith. I wanted him to just kick up some money because he was making so much off the industry. But long story short, he's willing to help now with this case. And again, this driving case affects all Canadians. This isn't about just one. And I see that Canada's not going to get pushed back into one corner. I don't see them allowing that to happen. They're not going to allow us to push. Other Canadians are going to watch shows like mine, watch other shows, talking table, word of mouth, and eventually they're going to look at read the actual legislation. And it's all over the internet. It's so easy and it's so accessible that I believe that it's only a matter of time, maybe 3 to 5 years, before all Canadians will start to push back, just like all 55% that helped legalize in this country. Those people will push back and say, this isn't right.
I think you're in the wrong.
What can I do for you? You're in the wrong place.
I think you're in the wrong unit. Probably looking for our neighbor.
Sorry, I don't know who that is. Some weird guy just comes walking in your house. Welcome to living in downtown Vancouver. We have a ground floor condo that's right on, he walks right out onto the street. So Vicky's out there talking to him now. So just kind of kicking my slippers off and getting ready to. Yeah, there is security here, believe it or not. They're in the building though. Because we have a condo that goes down onto the street. We're not in the building, so once you're in the building, all the floors have cameras and you're secure. But out here, the guy like you seen just came walking in, and you know I could.
Cannabis in Canada because he googled cannabis in Canada. We were selling cannabis.
Is that what he said? Oh, I guess he tried to disrupt the show thinking we were selling cannabis. So he must have thought this was our offices because, of course, we're registered with Google with our offices. So, it is what it is. But need the ganja guards. The ganja guards. You know, it's funny, we've had to protect our plants all these years and protect our products, and now all of a sudden you can store as much cannabis as you want, and what a way to get you looking left, you know, when they're gonna go right. You know, they give you the bone. Hey, look at this, you can store as much cannabis as you want. We made 1 year. I really question why. I really fear 2019. If people want to call me a fearmonger or whatever, go ahead. I don't give a fuck. I believe the federal government of Canada is not done. They just repealed their own remedy to Allard. Their remedy to Allard that they told Justice Phelan was good enough was the ACMPR. Now they've just simply emogulated us under new regulations. They repealed the ACMPR on October 17th, 2018. So when you repeal something, you have to replace it with new legislation. And I beg the question of what is the long-term plan of their amendments and their repeals and their fucking so-ons and their so-ons. They're ultimately going to knock us down to everybody's going to be growing 4 plants only. And I think it's doing a disservice to cannabis patients, and designated growers alike. And the reason I say that is because the amount of oils that's needed to treat cancer, to be in a catatonic state for 3 months is a hell of a lot of oil, and it would take a lot to make it. So to start restricting people when you don't know what their diagnosis is or what their parameters are, you shouldn't be really interfering, especially when by the government's own admission that needs more research. It's not even medical. The federal government of Canada knows this. It's not medical under their eyes. If you read Health Canada's own language, it's not medical and needs further exploration. If you want to dig deeper, I'll do it for us right now. Let me just grab the position paper, which I showed us before. Again, guys, the position paper. What else am I missing here? I feel like I'm missing something. I can't remember what it was. Sorry, there we go, guys. Just give me one sec here. Okay, so we'll put this up here to start. Can at least slide this over. This will be the page we'll be operating on, I think, off of. I think I got some pop-up ads here. Huh? That was weird that he just walked in. I thought I wasn't sure whether I should just jump up and punch him out, or. And then I'm like, do I recognize you? Are you from the cannabis community?
I was like, is he from the building? Like, shit. Right, or is this UPS?
It's like, imagine on one of my paranoid days, like, holy fuck, man, don't fucking walk in my house. Fuck. Well, that's not even funny. I'm gonna fucking not gonna seriously hurt that guy. Like, that's not even a joke. Anyway, hey, we're back here on the, where's this position paper?
Offer him a dab. You know what, Jason? You're right. We should have asked him to come in and say, yo, you want a dab?
Well, this is he's probably a local that's watching us nearby and already knows that we're live on the air, so we're probably, it's pretty easy to walk in and be harmless. It was just strange.
You know what? Whether you might be fucking right. He could have just been a walk-in, right?
And at the same time, you know, I'm just thinking of days when I'm paranoid. I'm actually thinking, holy fuck, man, you never know. Somebody could come through the door. I'm serious about keeping the door locked usually. So the fact that somebody could just stroll in, it was just like, damn, I'm glad I just did a big dab, because that guy was tripping me balls, man.
Oh, shit. RV grower, he must have thought it was one of those new government cannabis stores.
One of those new government cannabis agents. Hey, buddy, we're shutting you down. Fuck you. Fuck the press. You know, Trump's trumping you. So if you're all considered the press. You're all bad news.
Wow, that was hilarious.
So let me see. I'm not sure why.
Well, anyway, we'll figure that out after the show.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here, but.
In any event, we all had a good giggle, and that's what life's all about. Little moments, the laughter, people that matter.
And there it is, our view, but I'm not seeing it catch up here.
Stuff that matters.
Which is strange. But, yeah, hopefully you guys are freaking dabbing your asses off and having a good time under legalization. That's the one thing I'm not used to saying, and it's like, enjoy legalization, regardless of what these fucktards in government want to keep saying, and they want to keep policying. I really don't like people that policy for money, rather than policy for social justice, and policy for what's right, for social equality, for social justice. It's been deemed so bad for so long for the cannabis plant, for really not doing anything wrong at all. And here we are once again with the same situation. It's really sad. Man, sometimes you just friggin' people that don't realize you're either on the air or they do, and they just call back. And then that's kind of rude when you do that, so that's not cool. If you're interested in being on the show, please post into the chat and let us know.
Kind of invite, can't you invite yourself? You used to be able to do that invite thing.
I'm trying to figure out right now why I can't see that. This should be coming through. Alright, it doesn't matter. Screw it. It's sitting there and there's nothing I can do about it. It's just the way it is. Anyway, the doctors say our view is really now that the government is obviously intending to legalize this. Once this substance that's available to all Canadians, there's really no need for physicians to continue to serve as gatekeeper role. And if you read deeper and deeper and deeper into the legislation in the Cannabis Act, you'll actually be able to see a lot more. It's really acting up on me right now. I'm sorry about that. Clearly somebody does not want us getting these messages out. But the doctor's view, once again, is that they do not want a medical program. They also have a detailed backgrounder where they talk about the removal of the ACMPR over the next 5 years, which it's already been repealed. And then there's something else that's going to replace it. And then ultimately, in the end, no medical program at all, just a one-tiered system. And when I hear a one-tiered system, I hear 4 plants for everybody. And if you need any more than that, you need to go buy it from the corner of friggin' CCBO. And to me, that's just a another well-played move by the federal government on the chessboard of constitutional chess.
Well, I can hear myself quite well, so I know that everybody else can. So I'll speak loud enough that everybody can hear me. This is the question that really bothers me. With their crappy-ass levels of THC capping, how can they insist that we get their crappy genetics when we both know that their genetics won't even heal us?
I would take it a step further, and also I would also ask, why can't we breed our own genetics? Well, we're allowed to breed our own genetics, but then for me to breed my own, which I've bred for Vicky, and then to give them to her as another medical patient, I'm saying that I do it. So come get me, Mr. Government. I beg you, please. I do give Vicky seeds. I grow CBD quantity seeds for because that's what she needs. She needs that kind of flower in her baseline oil to go with her CBD crystalline. I know that sounds a little crazy, but we believe in using the full spectrum of the plant. All cannabinoids, there's 400 of them. We need to use all of them, not just pick a couple and think that they're going to be the fix-all. No. That's just a sales pitch. So, but I wanted that. That's important. That was reported by CBC Radio, and that was the doctors saying that they don't want to be any longer part of the gatekeeper role. Why my shit's acting up, I'm not sure. But once again, here's a 1 minute little second break here for, I'm going to try to grab another video. Actually, hang on here. Maybe I should do that while I got you guys on. Well,
listen to this. He's not the only doctor. My doctor was told that he can follow the College of Physicians' recommendations or he can lose his license.
Correct.
He's not the only doctor.
Yeah, no, the doctors are being threatened by the CMA. Yes, they are. And that's important to note. Well, no, none of us want to be political, but you know what? If you want your plants, you need to fight. And right now, the political arena is getting dirty. It's getting muddy. But people do not believe that we need to abolish growing. Only the people that want to profit off this industry are the people that want to abolish home growing. Because if you can't grow it at home, then nobody's going to know their neighborhood grower. Nobody's going to know their neighborhood dealer. And you're going to, in effect, force modern-day moonshiners out of a lot of people, cause more criminalization, and while you monopolize our country. And I feel that's wrong. These are corporations that are all around the world, so they're definitely invading our country. They're sovereign soil, and they're setting up shop, you know, because they have the money and the connections to do so. And likewise, we're setting up shop in Australia and in other countries all around the world.
Debbie's pointing out, I didn't know they were doing it in Britain. This pains me. Jason and I 2 years ago knew when we were in California that they are genetically modifying the cannabis plants so that they can come and dip and stick your plants to make sure that you're using their fucking GMO seeds. They're doing the same thing in Britain. So that's spreading.
Yeah, and that's, but I've spoken, when I talked about it, people said I was fear mongering, so I kind of backed off it for a little while. I know we're quite a ways away from it. They're genetic marking their own strains right now. They're breeding them. Once they get the exact genotype they want, they make a, what you call a tissue culture. And it's just a little culture, and it's a little, it's basically keeping cells of the plant alive. And it's the original genotype of that plant. And it has all the same phenotypes trapped in there, and it pops up the same way every time. It's very important to know how they're doing stuff and how they're storing their genetics. We don't have to buy it from them. Okay, let me ask you this. What police academy teaches people how to identify whether you're growing without a highly sophisticated fucking, and we're talking like Jetsons type shit, you know, like we're way in the future, where they would have they not predicted this, they'll have a dipstick just like they do for alcohol, where you blow in a machine. They'll have something that instead of the pseudoscience saliva test one they have now, they'll have a real one that does real tests. And those real tests will kick people's ass because we need to fight it in court. I know that a man's been charged on the island, and I'm hoping that that's going to go to court. I know Kurt Tucson and the problem with that gentleman was he was ticketed. He wasn't charged. We need somebody to be charged under this law in order for us to go after it. You know, not everybody's willing to go that extra distance and seek an injunction. Many injunctions are lost. The federal government has the right to dictate who does what in 95% of the cases. But all said, I'm going to take a 1-minute break here and check in with my wife because we got to figure out what we're going to do for this afternoon. It's kind of one of those chill days. It's rainy and yucky out, so hopefully you guys got any questions, throw them in there. We'll be able to hear you and see you. And here is a short documentary and then a couple more commercials of some sort. I don't know, I'll figure it out. But we'll see you in about 5 minutes. Almost rolled over on me there. All right, so we're just gonna close this out. We got 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, Dougie Fresher on. I never said I was a singer, so fuck off with that song. All right. And my fucking stupid computer is still acting up. You want to ever donate anything to this company, please donate a good computer that can hold a good workload, because these ones clearly don't want to work with me. I want to thank everybody for watching today, joining us, and and again, these are on the fly shows. We will have a schedule up on cannabisincanada.net that will have specific days and specific times that will be on at least once a week to start. Where you won't see these pop-up shows. These pop-up shows are more done for my own statistical data. It tells me a lot about how many people are actually caring to watch us, that we're able to snag in a given time. I think with a schedule, we'll be able to get a bigger audience and dial the show into this exact 1 hour mark that I'm trying to aim for. So we got about 8 minutes left here. Now there's differing opinions. Again, the Canadian Medical Association, one person left. The CMA has been vocal about its position on the medical cannabis system since the very beginning. I'm reading a CBC report that I can't show you that I wanted to show you. I think I can send that over though. Yeah, but it won't change nothing there. It's fucked up. So I can't get that to change. But anyway, it was reading that off a thing. It's basically the doctor's position, once again, is to remove the ACMPR. Mr. Conroy has warned me that that is something that they may want to do. Matt, good afternoon, and good afternoon to anybody that I missed. I thank you all for joining. Most importantly, collectively, we're making a difference. Collectively, we're sharing information, and when we leave, I'm hoping you guys are going back to your respective groups and you're sharing this information with your people, because there's certain information that needs to get out there in order to push back and to understand where we are. People think there's still an ACMPR that's protecting them right now. There's not. Unless you're under federal injunction that I put on the government, then you're not protected. And trust me, I'll be one of the first to let you know if they're going to lift the injunction, because I'm one of the first that needs to be told. These are one of the good things about it is the government still playing chess with Mr. Conroy. Mr. Conroy is now doing a new potential case. He's collecting evidence, he wants to hear from you guys. If you've been mistreated by the ACMPR, which is now the, whatever you call it, program of the federal government, is part of the Cannabis Act, but it's a medical side of the Cannabis Act, which I believe they're just going to amend again in 2019. They're going to amend it to put us all down to 4 plants, and that is a good way to reverse Allard. Allard, the answer was give them the ACMPR. Now they repealed it. 5 minutes to go. 5 minutes to go. If there's any questions, let us know. If not, I really do appreciate everybody joining in. I do have Vicky and Guinevere close by. They're sitting here in the room. It is good having the girls nearby. I'm trying to get my daughter to actually do a show because she doesn't smoke cannabis, but she knows how to grow it. She understands it. She's been raised around it. So it's one of those things where I think she'd be an interesting story. So much so that the newspapers already ran one story. They wanted to run a second one, but she said no. So it is what it is. I can't force her to do interviews with the media, and we have friendly media. We got some good people that work like with Global News. They're more downtown living sirens. But yeah, it's one of those things too where you got a lot of you got a lot to look at, and I think she had a lot to say. Even in the article, that people were interested in doing a follow-up article with her because she had come up with so many different things that people don't probably think about because they weren't raised with hardcore stoners like me, where there's always been a grow room and there's always been some me smoking my weed. You know, like that's all my daughter knew. You know, that's all the only thing she knows. You know, but it was the way in which it was done that matters. It wasn't that I did it all in front of her. It was more that it was just done in a way where there was locked doors. There was stuff that she didn't fully understand. You know, there was barricades on the front and back doors. You know, she didn't fully understand that, but there was reasons for it. You know. All said. We're at 4 minutes. Damn, it's the slowest 4 minutes of my life. I'm doing a job. Somebody trying to call me once again. I can't take calls when I'm on the air. But thank you for joining us, and guys, please hit the reminder button so you know when we go live, because we do pop-up live shows right now, and this is all for statistical gathering. The analytics of this particular information is very important for us, and that's why we do them. What are you talking about? I got 3 minutes left here, right?
Cannabis is medicine. You're darn right, Bart. That's what I was saying. You know what? Absolutely. I think every single one of us, thank goodness, thank God we all know that it is a medicine. And my God, we're so blessed that we understand that. Yes, there's recreational effects. I agree, 100%. And I enjoy those as well. And there's nothing wrong with enjoying the recreational effects. You know what? And you know what, Bart? Thanks for pointing that out. But you know what? There's absolutely nothing wrong with hitting a fat dab and sitting back and enjoying a TV show. You know what I mean? Or a movie. Or
the fuck you think I'm gonna? That's exactly what I'm doing when we're done this show.
Well said.
But that's important too. Is that you do you? You need to rest and relax, but you also need to take care of your quality of life. It's important to find that balance, and sometimes we lose our way. Like I've lost my way. That's for damn sure. A few times. It's not always been easy. But when you lose your way, you try to find your way back, and just like any other family member.
Am I able, for wrapping up in a couple minutes, Matt Williams would like to know, am I able to use you as a civil rights person for a subject?
No, I'm not. Honestly, because I'm not schooled enough in law, I wouldn't want to be a paralegal. It's something. Oh, as a part of. It depends if you're talking about like being like I'm a court certified expert, and I'm also a court witness. I don't know. But yes, yeah, I'd be open to anything that would be.
If Matt, he doesn't understand what you're asking.
It's probably better. It's probably best to get a hold of me through my email, cannabisincanada@gmail.com. It's honestly that would be the best way to talk to me for anything business wise. Yeah, especially now we're in such rocky waters. That would be very good. We've met a couple of new people, and we're hoping to meet with some more. And we're also, we've met some bad people, so we're trying to be very cautious of who we work with, and what fights we pick up and we don't pick up. And I think I'm going to follow my lawyer's leads on some of the fights that they're already starting to pick up.
Yeah, this gets the story of what we fought for, what you fought for, out there into the classroom. I think this would be awesome.
Well, that's why we got this working on here. I'm going to play this one more time. It's a 1-minute documentary. Here you go. All right, so there we go. There as close as we could be on the perfect timing. We are in with that first minute, so we got a little bit of leeway. On that note, this is Jason Wilcox thanking our sponsors, Green Planet Nutrients, Beard Brothers Concentrates, T&B Naturals, and geez, who else am I forgetting? Gorilla Tents, I don't know, and a few more that I'm not thinking of. On that note, I hope everybody has a really lit day. Get out there and pray, have a good time, and really just enjoy your day. I know this is Jason Wilcox going off to have some pizza to enjoy my